really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Been a fan for decades.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you. I like your shirt.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I saw him at a Bed Bath and Beyond and thought he was a homeless person. And then he walked out of the store and got into a Bentley with Wolfgang bumper. I was like, that's fucking Eddie Van Halen. But he looked like a crazy homeless person.
That's the story that unfortunately, like, there's some periods of Ed's life where it's just kind of like, oh, that guy. But everybody has stories about, like, yeah, I saw him in a Staples and I spoke to him and he was great. In other words, he seemed to be like the most famous, accessible person there was. But
yeah, that's well put.
So as a person who's been a longtime fan of your comedy and your writing, not to slag it per se, but your movie Joyride is exactly what I wanted comedians in cars getting coffee to be. There's no forced laughter between you and Bob. It's you guys, you're being funny without it being your material. So what I'm wondering is how
Bob has a much more derogatory name for that show.
I look forward to off the mic hearing that.
Yeah.
But how did you know outright, like, hey, we're going to be funny in the car, or is it just you two have that natural chemistry?
No. The whole thing started in 2017 or 2018, where, you know, Bob and I have been had a long history, and now we're very, very, very good friends. That wasn't always the case,
right?
And we said we should do some dates together, specifically because with my draw and his draw combined, we could sell out a rock club. And it was like, great, we can get out of doing clubs. We can just do one night, one gig, and we can go together. So we're not traveling alone, eating alone, killing time all day by ourselves. So that all worked great. And then everything happened. The original shows were we would go on together, fuck around for 5 minutes, flip a coin to decide who would go on first and who would go on second.
Right.
And what we found was that the audience really liked the dicking around part. So one night we were in Maryland and I said, let's see if we can, let's try and stay on stage the whole time. Let's see if we can do that. And it just, we never spoke about it. We would talk, and then I could see Bob, like, it would lead into a bit, because we knew by that time we really knew each other's inventory.
Right.
And I would literally take a step back and he would step forward and do his bit. Or then I would step back and he would step and do a bit. And it worked from the start. It worked great. From the first time out, it worked great. And people really liked it because, for lack of a better term, it was clearly very genuine, I think,
Yeah.
And Bob and I are at a point in our careers and in our personal maturity where we don't have a problem sharing the spotlight. We couldn't have done this 10 years ago. But it's like, whatever, sometimes you're in the parade and sometimes you just watch the parade.
Right.
They both can be fun. Whatever works. And so that made it doable. And I think that people just appreciate that and this is just a personal thing with me, and in the way that we are as people, it's not shitty. Like, we're not roasting each other, and it's great. And it's so, roast battles are great, and I can enjoy them wholeheartedly because I can't do it.
I'm sure you could do it.
No, I can't. I'm awful at it. I don't, because I'm not I even jokingly mean. I'm too like, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
You have to be the nicest comedian to have come out of the Ding Ho Boston scene. That was just a bunch of roast masters.
Sure. It was a different when I was young, and it's my No, my girlfriend will say, like, we'll be in an argument and you'll be very quiet, and then you will say the cruelest thing I've ever heard. And so like I'm just like, I'm not going near there. I'm not going. And I don't go right to the clever thing. I go to, why were you born? Like, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't with Bob. We clearly like each other a lot. We have not only do we have a ton of stuff in common in terms of common interests, our upbringings, our childhoods are freakishly similar that we didn't even know until recently. So I think that people just sense that. I mean, that we get on well, and that works.
It definitely shows, and it's an interesting format to this film where it's part actually seeing stand up, like actually getting a show. It's part you guys in the car, and then it's partially cutting to different clips of things you're talking about. Did you have the Bob Hope outtake without spoiling for anyone who
Yeah, I did, in my garage on a VHS tape, and I don't know how I have it. I don't know how I have it. I must have asked for it at the time, and someone gave it to me, because I shouldn't have it.
I know.
But there it is. And yeah, that's a great, I mean, what I think, and again, the movie's Bob's, I'm in it. He directed the film and created the film. And, in my other job, I'm a writer, and I'm used to creating the structure of a piece on the page, then giving it to people to film. This was already filmed, and Bob had to impose a structure onto pre-existing stuff. And he did a masterful job. I mean,
yes.
Masterful. And I saw, I'm not a big fan of watching me. And I was really taken at the story that he put in there, and made himself the villain at a certain point. I thought that was really, really impressive. And it did, it really, as we would say in my other job, it plays. It plays. So that was great. That was really impressive to see. You get to see people that are comedians, and then it's not seeing how we became comedians, but it is seeing why we became comedians.
The process.
That's a better way. Yeah, and from whence we came, that made us choose this very strange livelihood.
Yeah, I can't top that. You're explaining it really well. And
well, it took me 40 interviews, so give yourself a little credit.
Well, a bit of a compliment / question here. Your generation of Boston comics, in the early to mid 90s, all of you were pretty much getting on the young comedian specials, a feature on Comedy Central, and you're earning a living, you're going to get a pilot deal, it's not going to pan out. And then you fast forward 5 to 15 years and you're all showrunners. You're all everybody you worked with on the Ben Stiller show is making movies. I'm wondering when you kind of realized that all these people that you were with until 2 or 3 in the morning watching Bomb to 7 people, when you realized that you were
now we're together 2 or 3 in the morning in a writer's room. When I don't know. We grew up, and some people did and some people didn't. You have to be able to. Being a stand-up comedian is a very solitary livelihood. It's a very solitary life and lifestyle. And one of the reasons that Bob and I did this tour is because we didn't want to go on the road alone. It would be great to go on the road with somebody. To be alone together with someone just makes the day go by. And it's, and, we're both married and divorced. We both have children. We have full lives. And if you are someone who can form attachments, that leads to things that make you want to stay home. Maybe be a writer. I have a baby at home. I don't want to be out till 2, 3 in the morning doing sets. And that led a lot of people to becoming writers, because it's much more of an adult life. and a lot of people that, and then there are people that can't form attachments, and they're still out there. And it's an interesting it's an interesting, and they're very happy. I'm not judging them, but I do I'm very grateful that that I was able to step away from stand-up comedy, although I never quit it. I never quit doing it. I did develop another career,
Right.
which I find very satisfying. And that allowed me to do stand-up when I wanted, where I wanted, how I want. And I don't have to go out to Uncle Fucker's Chuckle Hutch and
Well,
away.
Two quick topics, questions, being mindful of your time, and they might be 20-second answers or there might be 5-minute answers.
But that was really, that really made, by the way, that really made me laugh. And then you're all showrunners.
Well, you all are,
Yeah, we all, yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them. I got to ask, is it okay? There's Little Richard, Gary. Is that Gary Shandling in the, or is that Chubby Checker or Gary Shandling in the upper middle?
Wayne Newton. There's a whole.
Okay, very good.
Move it over.
Because Gary oh wow, because Gary Shandling has the same 8x10.
I'm not surprised. So an 8x10 that's a couple over that. I used to, when I was a teenager writing for a bunch of magazines, and they'd send you those instead of.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. So I have one of Bob on the wall, and he's wearing a Replacements T-shirt, and I was wondering if the Replacements or indie rock was one of the things that first connected you and Bob.
Yeah, well, yes, you nailed it. Bob lived in Boston with two guys, Dan Spencer and Tom Kenny.
Oh yeah.
Kenny, yeah.
SpongeBob, yeah.
Right. And they're both still our friends. We both texted Dan this morning, unknowingly of each other. But Bob moved to California, and I moved right when Bob moved to California. I moved to Boston, and then I became their friends because we all liked the Replacements and Husker Du and the Jam and Elvis Costello and Plan 9 from Outer Space and Tex Avery, and
wow,
we liked all the same goofy shit. And I sort of became the guy that replaced Bob, and that was a brick in the wall of his antipathy, not the only one. As I like to say, we got off on the wrong foot, and it went downhill from there. So it took a long time, and it took us. But yeah, and that's what, like, when people say, like, alt comedy, I don't know what it meant other than that all the comedians liked alt music. It's like
you all played rock clubs rather than traditional comedy.
Yeah, it was just like it was the kind of music we liked, and that was the attitude we had. I know in the alt scene in LA in '91 with like Janine and everybody, it was just that was the music we liked. That was how we saw ourselves. That's how we identified, was just a little out of the mainstream. And the Replacements of the personification of that, yeah.
And then, so the first topic and the last topic that I got for you is, you recognize the Eddie Van Halen shirt. I forgot I was wearing it. Yeah. David Lee Roth was known to be around the Comedy Store a lot. Did you ever have a run-in with him there?
I've never, and I was more of an improv guy. I never went to the Comedy Store. Never went to the Comedy Store much. I don't think I've ever crossed paths with Diamond Dave. But I will say that there was a time when I had the same business manager as a member of Van Halen. And he said to me in utter seriousness one day, "Never get a plane." Dana, never get a plane.
That is incredible. I'm not going to be able to
and this is not this isn't like privileged information. Sammy made more money than all of them
combined
because of Cabo Wabo.
Exactly.
George Clooney has made more money on his tequila than from his acting.
Oh yeah, the rock and roll weird rich list, like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull has made more money from fishing than music. So you never know what the breadwinning trait.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like the Mike Nesmith whiteout thing. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Well, eventually I will interview you about rock. I loved what you did with Wayne Kramer on your podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So keep up the greatness.
I didn't know. Yeah, and I just heard a great Wayne Kramer story that I wanted to reconnect with him. I forget, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get. I know Wayne through a guy named Danny Bland, who's the Blasters and Dave Alvin's road manager, and it's just Mr. Danny Bland on Instagram. Super funny, super great follow, and hilarious. Yeah, and literally, I'm gonna get off. I have one more interview, and then I'm gonna go buy X tickets.
You're not doing a gimmick here. You got taste.
No, are you in LA? Where are you located?
Oh, Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What can you do?
I hear you. All right. Hey man, great to talk to you. Anytime. Anytime.
Thank you, man. Best of luck with that, and seriously, love the film. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I'm happy to be in it. But it's it's Bob's accomplishment. So hats off to Bob.
Also, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Paltrocast.